Hello and welcome to Games from Folktales, a podcast that mixes historical research and tabletop role-playing settings. I'm your host, Timothy Ferguson. This week, the consuming mystagogue. Why do fairies teach mysteries? I was reading a story the other day which suggested that it's because it makes the initiates more delicious. I won't record The Man Who Went Too Far by E.F. Benson in full into the podcast because it takes 10 minutes for the story to get going and it takes about 40 minutes for it to end. But in summary, a man meets a friend of his who appears to have become younger. He considers this to be likely the result of a vacation, but the man reveals that he's been meditating in the woods, which is a sacrifice of time, and it's drawing him closer to a force of nature which he calls joy. As a result, he's been revivified, so now he's physically a late teenager. There are several other effects. The clearest effect is that the young man has the oversensitive flaw. He cannot view ugly things. They draw him away from his next initiation into the innermost mystery of nature. He flees a child with a scraped knee with his fingers in his ears because he literally cannot be close to him without being drawn further away from nature. The man hears a flute-like sound others cannot hear, and he is enraptured by it. It gets louder as he comes closer to the end of his path, and it makes him disappear into his own thoughts for increasingly lengthy times. He seems to need to sleep outdoors in a hammock. He does gain some other benefits. He can communicate empathically with animals, so he has the animal ken virtue, and he can hypnotize his friends to sleep, which is entrancement, presumably, and he seems to have the way of the woods. The downside is that, as his friend points out, nature isn't pure joy. Every animal in nature feeds on something. Nature is pain. The character suggests that the man has failed to balance his progress in the two paths, and this leads to a final scene which can be read several ways. At its simplest, a faun, presumably Pan, because of the reedy flute sounds, stamps the young man to death. Let's look at some story options. Pan may represent the path not taken, and when the two paths contest with each other, since Joy is about to get a new champion, Pain needs to destroy him. Fear of the faun was the wrong response, the man should have fought it. Or, as another option, Pan himself is the mystagogue, and the man screaming in fear is the wrong response to him. Sacrifices or abasement were required, and the man failed either a personality check or occult law roll. Another option, the man is about to become one with nature, which is a potent magic spirit, and the fairy is destroying him to prevent the piercing of the bubble of fairy aura that coats most mundane settlements outside the divine aura. That is, fairy is a border between humans and the magic of nature. This also explains why, after Merenita joined nature, a fairy interloper took over her house and massacred the people who followed her mysteries. A final option, the man becomes more delicious as he develops cult lore. The entire process of initiation is just a way of marinating the victim. If this is true, your player character should discover this, perhaps by reading the writings of a previous victim, before they reach the final stage. If they still get the benefits of their various initiations, they probably won't feel so badly about the bait and switch implied in this storyline. But your saga may vary.